No, interesting point as well you touched upon there about like how Brie and the others, they can't promote this movie, obviously because of the actor strike that's ongoing at the moment. And well, interestingly, it seems to be getting to do or die time. There's actually an interesting article that just came out from the Wrap talking about this, saying the negotiations are still ongoing right now. They fell apart like a week or two ago, and they've resumed. Whether or not they're going to succeed, we don't know. But it says here that it's the witching hour. The studios are going to devote another week to try and resolve the SAG strike, or they're going to give up until January. So basically, if they don't get this hammered out, if they don't get a deal hammered out within the next week or so, the entire remainder of 2023 is just basically done in terms of film and TV production, because there's just not going to be enough time to get anything off the ground, and they're probably going to withdraw from the negotiating table as well until January. Pretty brutal stuff, and that seems to be what we've come down to, because we're now well over 100 days that the actors have been on strike, and there seems to be no end in sight with it at the moment.
I guess the writers got theirs. Where's ours? Come on.
Oh
yeah,
no.
But the problem
anyway.
is what they want is what they want is quite a bit more than what the writers got.
Oh yes,
yeah,
and that's the sticking point.
That levy that they put on at the end is stupid. It was just a dumb move. It was overreach.
It was right at the end as well. It's like they pretty much got a handshake deal. It's like, okay, we've agreed on everything. We're all good. Yep. Okay, let's get this to the lawyers. And it's like, just one more thing. We're gonna need a 57. We're gonna need a 57-cent levy on every subscriber that watches our content.
Every streaming service. And let's, other people have pointed this out. I'm not the only one. So you're talking every streaming service. Not everything on every streaming service has anything to do with this union. So you're asking for a levy on the reality TV made over in the UK, which is a completely different deal. You're asking for a levy on South Korean entertainment, animation, everything. That's stupid, And it was the nanny is a horrible leader. She is terrible. Like the WGA they were responsible for some of the worst crap we have seen in the last decade, but they were better negotiators, obviously much sharper negotiators. The nanny's an idiot for doing that at the because like the Film Actors Guild had momentum up until then. Like now they're breaking within their own ranks. George Clooney tried to pay off his own union to go back to work. Aren't unions great?
I think because the writers' strike was much more of a traditional old-fashioned labor dispute, because the majority of the people in the writers' union work pretty normal jobs. There are some very highly paid members of that union, but a lot of them are not very highly paid. It was really just a labor union dispute. We want more money and we want better rewards for the work that we're doing. Fairly simple. There were some silly demands made. They compromised on some of them. It was a relatively easy job. Actors are not normal people. Actors are almost invariably mad and divorced from reality. And so they can just say random things, and they don't really have the countervailing incentive to actually get around the table and compromise on a demand, because they can actually afford to spend 6, 12 months not doing anything, because they'll then earn a lot more money further down the line. So their demands are more ridiculous. Some of them overlap. Like, I do think the AI stuff is interesting and does need resolution, but if you're tying that to demands like we want a share of revenue, we want a share of profit, we want a levy on everything on your streaming service, and you're not going to compromise on that because, hey, we don't really need to, then this is just a recipe for something which just goes on and on and on with no end in sight until it just falls apart from its own contradictions. Because like you say, various individual actors will get around and say, we're kind of bored, or we need work now, and we can probably pay off to get an exemption. So we'll go back to work and the rest of you can just, do your own thing.
And 14% of SAG, they're the only ones who are going to benefit from this deal. Talked about it in my last video, 14%. The rest don't. They don't make enough money. The minimum year, Disbrew talked about the minimum for the WGA. The minimum for the Film Actors Guild is $26,000 a year for where you're eligible for benefits, to where this deal affects you in any way, shape, or form. Everybody else, it was, I think a lot of the background actors were striking for like AI, but that didn't seem to be the stumbling block with either union. That got worked out pretty much. And now they're, of course, arguing about residuals, which was, I think it's always been about forcing transparency, which I'm absolutely for. I can't wait to get some. Ted Sarandos came out during his earnings call, and again, he's just words are wind, but he said there will be some kind of system where we'll be able to decipher the ratings on all streaming services that will be uniform. They just need to invent it, basically, and it'll be BS when it comes out. But I guess we're going to get something. Whether we believe it or not is another case. But yeah, they're screwed. They're screwed now. If this thing ends tomorrow, they're screwed, and the theaters are screwed. Restaurants are closing down. Costume companies are closing down. Prop companies are closing down. There's articles written. That's already happening. It's decimating the local economy in LA. It's down 41%. And
yeah, I was just reading that here actually. Yeah,
down. This whole thing's cost $3 billion, I think, so far.
Yeah,
for the LA economy.
Yeah, the 3-month period from July until September saw 5,311 shoot days in the Los Angeles area, which represents a roughly 41% decline from the previous quarter, or sorry, the same quarter previous year. That is huge.
So June 2 pushed back to March. Deadpool 3 pushed to May 24. Quiet Place Day 1 pushed to June 24.
Mission
Avatar
Impossible
3. Yeah, exactly. And here's an interesting one. I didn't even know this was a thing, but there's going to be a Dirty Dancing remake. And most of the delay there is caused by their decision over whether the lead actress should be reimagined as half Puerto Rican and half South Korean, or as a disabled black lesbian, and whether or not the director should be Southeast Asian or Director X from Robin Hood.
I want Director X to make
rooting
everything.
for you, Director X. Rooting for you, buddy.
He's probably watching right now, actually.
Probably, yes. There's a good chance.
Deadpool 3 coming out in May is an impossibility. It's an absolute impossibility.
Yeah.
They are going to delay that. I think they talked about moving it back to later. They can't even move it back to later in the year. They're going to have to push that to 2025. They got post. They haven't, unless they've been doing post while not finishing principal photography, which they haven't done, which I wouldn't put it past Marvel to do that, but that'd be terrible. That'd be a terrible plan. So, yeah, it's going to be a desert of film. Yeah, Mission Impossible 2 renamed and pushed back a year. Ironheart pushed back to 2025.
Oh, no.
And it's finished. It's finished. It's been finished.
Haven't they pushed Echo back as well?
To January. Not far enough.
Oh, okay.
Well, as had talked to somebody, and he said the description of the Marvels is, and I would say this is probably the same description for Echo, is like Marvel knows it's a total piece of trash, and they just need to drop it, and it's like we need to skate as fast as we can over thin ice.
Yeah,
and that's probably Echo's. We'll drop Echo at 3:00 in the morning all at once, and hope you don't see it.
I think honestly it's going to be irrelevant whether Echo is great or absolutely terrible, because no one's going to watch it anyway.
No.
It's an obscure character, like people who are really going to know her from Hawkeye, and not that many people watched Hawkeye even, so...
I was really hoping someone would subtly drop in which show she was in, because I was trying for the life of me to remember who the hell she was, and I couldn't, and I didn't want to have to ask, but okay, she's from Hawkeye. I think I know which one she is now.
I've definitely heard things from behind the scenes of Echo as well. Like I've spoken to a couple of people that have worked on it. The actress was not enjoying herself at all, like during making it. The production people were pissed off because they knew it wasn't working. There was multiple reshoots. I think the actress had gained a lot of weight between Hawkeye and Echo, so like her costume looked like shit, and she was very aware of that. And it all just combined together into a very unhappy production. And I don't expect that that's going to result in good end product.
Well, as was mentioned there as well, even if this was the greatest show on earth, I don't think it could succeed even with that.
Probably not, no.
Because there's so much working against it at this point. So,
but it checks all those boxes, guys.
I can't wait to see what they do with Ironheart, though. Does like Riri Williams, like this character who's just like, it's like snap the fingers and it's like a boil in the bag Iron Man. It's like, yeah, she's just as smart as he is, and she invents all this crazy technology, but she didn't go through any of the character development to get there. It's just,
I think
amazing.
Describing her as a character at all is a bit much. I mean, she's more of a prop, I think. Character's too strong.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, she's smarter than Tony Stark. Okay,
of course she is.
Yeah, of course.
It's like Yeah, it's like when Shuri is like lecturing Bruce Banner about like nanotechnology and going, "I'm sure you tried your best." Okay, sure, yeah.
He's got to do some laundry during the stream, so it's just
No, there's just some twat doing some power sawing next door, so I just have to recurrently mute myself. Yeah, but it seems
Just
okay.
throw a shoe at him or something. Be all right.
Yeah, who would have thought we'd see 3 technology genius teenage girls in the space of 1 year in 3 different.
I know.
we need women in
It's
STEM.
amazing.
Echo. We need women in STEM.
That's why I laugh so much as well. The first episode of Robbie and Hood, where they've got like again another teenage technology genius who designs like rocket powered jetpacks just in her spare time. Like, how'd you learn how to do that? Did you go to college? Nah, I just thought it up. All right, cool. Yeah, I do that sort of thing regularly.
All the time.
Yeah, it's easy, you know. Oh, it's great. You gotta love it. But yeah, man, I don't know. What's your opinion on the chances of actually resolving this in the next week or so?
I would guess minimal, but I'd also say it's probably the easiest time for the studio to act like it's taking a tough line. Because if everyone's going to scale down production anyway over the next couple of months over Christmas, you're basically coming out and saying, we're not going to negotiate with you until January. And actually, how much work would you really have done until that point anyway? Would be
Yeah, I mean, based on the article that I read there from the Wrap, the take seems to be like if they haven't got any kind of deal arranged by Thanksgiving, then there's literally no incentive for them to do anything more because nothing will get done between Thanksgiving and Christmas anyway. There's no point in like starting a new project because it's just going to have to shut down anyway.
That means writing off the fall TV schedule, which is huge. And they said pushing movies to summer of next year, which will get pushed further back. Yeah, Fran Drescher like gifted them a hard line with that demand towards the end.
How could they even think about salvaging the fall TV schedule at this point anyway? Because like it is fall now. I mean, we're almost into November.
Well, that was the question I had. Does that mean next fall or is it this fall? And is it just shows that are waiting for some voiceover work or just last minute pickup stuff? That's a good question. Like writing out the fall schedule is. I kind of thought like those things were already kind of locked and loaded and ready to go.
Yeah, like that is the only thing that you could possibly get off the ground at this point, where it's like literally last minute stuff that just needs to be touched up by a little bit of input from the actors.
Yeah, unless they're talking about broadcast, which does have a quicker turnaround, but which they might be talking about, but that's less prevalent now. So
yeah,
I'm not sure.
I think it's funny as well because I saw this this article saying that a lot of these actors have had to go back to working in restaurants, like the classic cliche of like the struggling actor working like service jobs. And I just thought most of them probably were doing that anyway because like there's only a tiny percentage of actors who do this as a full-time gig. The rest of them are just day players or they are extras. Like the vast majority are working regular jobs in between acting gigs. So like it's not like that's a huge turnaround for them. They were already in that position anyway.
Yeah, the only bad thing is the restaurants they work at might go out of business if they're working in Burbank,
True.
So there's that. And then there's living in California and New York.
I mean, isn't it getting so expensive to shoot in California anyway that most productions just go other places that are cheaper? Like they'll go and shoot in Canada or somewhere like that because it's far cheaper and easier.
Yeah, Atlanta's becoming a place where in America where they do most of the shooting, and they usually jump around from state to state, whatever state wants to give a tax incentive. California goes through like their phases of it, but it's not a good phase right now because California's going broke. Look for a lot of stuff to come your guys' way to the UK. Totally different union, totally different agreement. Just make it over there.
I think there was some conversation about some people going out on strike in solidarity, but I don't think they've got the contractual right to do that in this country, or at least the main unions don't. So that we can still, if you had lots of dodgy American accents coming in shows in the next few months, it's probably an underpaid British person attempting to be an American. But hey, it's more work for us, so I can't complain about that. I think for the strikes, that you'll know when things are coming to an end because the actors will hold out as long as they possibly can. But when they're near breaking point, they will all start singing Imagine, which is the universal sign of an actor in trouble. And then once they start doing that, you know that the studios have basically won. It's just a couple more weeks and the actors will crack or cave, and then you'll be fine. But it might be another couple of months before we get to that point.
I did like the solution put forward by George Clooney and the others, where it's like, we'll literally just pay you guys off. We'll pay off our own union just to make them fuck off and let us get back to work.
That is the case, right? That they've got things they want to do and they can't because of their obligations to the union.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
essentially,
they're just sitting there like, well, what can I do? I have millions and millions of dollars. Can I use that? Can that sort it out?
Well, it's already like shows are getting canceled. 2 shows got canceled today on Paramount Plus, and they're looking at losing multiple movies now instead of a show or a movie. They're looking at some serious losses now.
And isn't this the fallout from all of this? Like, for the writers and the actors, we're going to go from like, what is it, 500 new shows per year, or 500 shows per year, down to like 200, because like there's not enough demand now to support it. There's not enough like money to support it, and it's going to be, you know, fewer writers, fewer jobs available for them, and the same for the actors. They've essentially created like a shrinking economy brought about because of their own strikes.